Have you ever wondered what would happen if the Avatar faced off against their own reincarnation? Today, it's Aang, the airbending master.
My cabbages!
Versus Korra, the fierce waterbender. What happens when the past meets the future? When the old ways clash with the new? We've got two avatars from two different eras, but only one can win. Who do you think is going to be the winner?
Why don't you come and find out?
Let's begin with our little monk, shall we? You see, Aang was an extremely powerful airbender who showed great skill from a young age. He became the youngest airbender to achieve the rank of master, a record that stood until his granddaughter, Jinora, did the same many years later.
Now, let us anoint the master who will help lead us in our new path.
With airbending alone, this guy hardened an entire flow of lava that would have destroyed a town.
Man, sometimes I forget what a powerful bender that kid is.
Not to undermine the efforts of the townspeople who dug the ditch to help, but it ended up being only slightly effective.
Dig faster! Dig faster!
In this scene, Aang easily defeated several Fire Nation soldiers. He destroyed Fire Nation ships during their attack on the Northern Water Tribe. Even though he was young, Aang was a brilliant strategist, able to outthink and outmaneuver much older and more experienced opponents. He created a tornado, redirected a massive boulder that scared Bumi, and used air and water bending to take down the vicious serpent. In the Siwang Desert, he made a mushroom cloud out of sheer rage without any buildup, showing the level of power he could use in active combat, even while enduring thirst and desert heat.
What is that?
Aang was a constant target for the Fire Nation because they saw him as a major threat to their plans. He had to keep evading Zuko, who hunted him relentlessly, and fought Azula, who was determined to make his life difficult. In his final battle against Ozai, Aang held his own for a long time without using the Avatar state, even though Ozai was empowered by Sozin's comet. In the end, Aang used the Avatar state to defeat Ozai, amplifying his power many times over. Aang's speed and agility were among his most impressive abilities as an airbender.
The Avatar can create tornadoes and run faster than the wind. Pretty amazing.
Ah, that's just a bunch of Fire Lord propaganda. There's no way that's true.
His quickness helped him evade enemies, counterattacks, and perform rapid maneuvers. He managed to escape from soldiers even with his hands tied behind his back.
You haven't seen my staff around, have you? Thanks anyway.
Aang also had a strong spiritual connection, allowing him to enter the spirit world at will.
Thank you.
My old friend, the Avatar.
He mastered the Avatar state, turning away a killing blow from his past lives to spare Ozai, demonstrating full control.
No, I'm not gonna end it like this.
Aang was the first Avatar to use energy bending, a difficult skill that required a pure spirit.
I'm taking away your bending for good.
His spiritual strength was just as crucial as his physical strength in his final battle. Even as a child, Korra could bend 3 of the 4 elements. She fought and defeated Amon, even after temporarily losing 3 of her bending abilities. You have to remember, Amon was incredibly powerful and dangerous.
No! You don't!
She also battled Zahir and the Red Lotus while poisoned and weakened. When Korra faced Kuvira in the finale, it was personal. She wanted to prove her superiority and chose hand-to-hand combat instead of relying solely on bending. Korra's agility, boosted by her airbending training and pro-bending experience, complemented her strength and combat skills. She defeated Amon's lieutenant, who had overpowered Mako and Bolin, using firebending and martial arts. Her waterbending skills were impressive, manipulating water in various forms like ice and steam. In pro-bending matches, she created powerful waves and water discs.
It's the big Kabaj! What a knockout!
Korra broke through the Northern Water Tribe blockade and destroyed Equalist airplanes. She also flash froze Kuvira's mech, which was resistant to other benders' attacks. In combat with Water Tribe rebels, Korra showed agility, strength, and skill, easily defeating multiple benders in close quarters. She countered Unalaq's attacks, showing her mastery in waterbending. Mind you, Unalaq was a formidable waterbender himself. She mastered both northern and southern waterbending styles and adopted a direct approach like Republic City's waterbenders. She could use water to heal, a special technique taught by Katara.
I learned from Katara, the best there is.
No! That's the stuff.
Earthbending was another powerful weapon in her arsenal. She showed strength and skill with it. When she found the Metal Tribe, she became the first avatar to learn metal bending.
Woohoo! Metal bending champion!
In Book 2, Unalaq's actions pushed Korra to improve her spiritual abilities. She figured out how to open the spirit portals and learned to use Unalaq's spirit bending technique. By Book 4, Korra had gained even more control over her spiritual powers. In the swamp, Toph taught Korra how to connect with the spiritual energy of the swamp and all living things within it.
I can't believe it! I saw Janora, Iki, and Milo. They're here!
Good. Hopefully they're here to take you home.
She then used this skill effectively in Republic City to locate Prince Wu.
They're taking Wu to the train station!
In the series finale, Korra took energy bending to a new level. She bent the energy from Kuvira's weapon, saving Kuvira's life, destroying the weapon, and opening a new spirit portal. Mind you, this weapon was powerful enough to level an entire city. Even Kuvira herself acknowledged that Korra's power was beyond anything she could achieve.
I owe the Avatar my life. Her power is beyond anything I could ever hope to achieve.
So, who do I think will come out on top? Well, let's figure it out by looking at some key areas: their physical strength, their bending skills, combat style, and their battle strategy.
I'm going after those two.
For Aang, he's incredibly fast and agile, often using his speed to dodge and confuse enemies. His airbending boosts his ability to move quickly and unpredictably. He has shown great endurance, able to stay active for long periods, as seen in his long travels and intense fights. In this scene, Aang uses his airbending to break through the metal exterior of a drill. Even when exhausted, he could still take on and defeat Azula. Aang has also survived in tough conditions. He was frozen in the Avatar state for 100 freaking years.
Next thing I knew, I was waking up in your arms after you found me in the iceberg.
In the Siwang Desert, Aang used airbending to move a boat while dealing with thirst and extreme heat. This just demonstrates his resilience and ability to adapt to different situations.
The needle on this compass doesn't seem to be pointing north according to my charts.
Korra, on the other hand, is naturally strong and muscular due to her physical training and active lifestyle. She can endure a lot of pain and recover quickly, especially from the attacks of the chi blockers and the lieutenant. Even while poisoned in the Avatar state, Korra could still fight and throw mountains at Zahir. Aang did that only a few times, and he wasn't poisoned. You might argue she had help from the Airbenders, but the main fight was all on Korra. The Airbenders only distracted Zahir. Physically, Korra's muscular build and tougher bending style suggest she has greater physical endurance. She's also skilled in hand-to-hand combat. Also, she competes in pro bending matches, which focus on using sheer strength to beat your opponent.
Oh, and a blatant hold by the Avatar!
Korra is a heavy fighter who can take many hits and keep going, whereas Aang, being a light fighter, might not get hit often, but would be more hurt if he actually did. Adult Aang had to enter the Avatar state to break free from bloodbending. Korra just shrugged it off. So, this point goes to Korra.
Still think I'm a half-baked Avatar?
Next is their elemental skills. I'll begin with waterbending.
Like this?
Aang learned waterbending from two great teachers, Master Pakku and Katara. While he didn't pick up much from Pakku as he played too much,
Check this out.
he learned a lot from Katara, who was one of Pakku's best students.
Let's see what you got.
Katara was an excellent teacher for Aang, and she likely got even better over time.
Think fast! Excellent. You have the reflexes of a water-bending master.
Thanks, Katara. Sifu, Katara.
What we saw in ATLA was impressive, but it probably wasn't Katara at her peak. However, Korra is a natural waterbender from the Southern Water Tribe. She learned from a fully experienced Katara, who passed on nearly all her knowledge of waterbending to Korra. You might think Aang would win, but I'm not so sure.
I don't know.
Korra didn't use water as much as you'd expect, focusing on it mainly for pro bending. But when she did use water, it was incredibly powerful. She could create huge tidal waves to fend off a giant mech. What makes this move so impressive is the huge amount of water she controlled, the strength behind it, and how quickly she froze it. Korra wins this one easily. I'm trying to be fair, even though I'm not a big fan of Legend of Korra, but Korra seems to have a better grasp of the elements and can deliver more powerful attacks.
I thought I told you not to underestimate her.
Next is earthbending. Aang's natural airbending skills, which focused on speed and dodging, made it hard for him to grasp the direct and forceful nature of earthbending at first.
You've got to stop thinking like an airbender. There's no different angle, no clever solution, no trickety trick that's gonna move that rock.
He learned from Toph Beifong, a master earthbender known for her unique techniques like seismic sense and metal bending.
I am the greatest earthbender in the world! Don't you two dunderheads ever forget it!
Toph's straightforward and no-nonsense teaching style helped Aang overcome his initial struggles and build the confidence needed for earthbending.
Do it! You did it! You're an earthbender! I can't believe it!
Once he got the hang of it, Aang made Earth his second most used element, showing great power and skill. He blended his airbending agility with earthbending and used seismic sense effectively. Aang's strength and adaptability placed him among the top earthbenders in the series. Although Korra is naturally a waterbender, her fearless approach is like that of an earthbender. She tackles challenges head-on with a strong and straightforward fighting style.
What just happened? Did she just earthbend?
Korra quickly learned earthbending in her early training, mastering basic techniques like lifting and throwing rocks with her physical strength and determination. Unlike Aang, who initially struggled with earthbending's confrontational nature, Korra embraced its power, which suited her bold personality very well. She kept improving her earthbending skills in Republic City through practical experience. Korra's abilities also included metal bending, which she learned from Suyin Beifong, further enhancing her earthbending capabilities.
Everyone out! I'm not going up there!
In terms of the amount of earth they've bent, Aang and Korra are about the same. Aang might even have a slight edge in raw power and consistency, and has shown a wider range of earthbending skills. However, Korra has the advantage of metal bending, which she uses effectively. Overall, Aang seems to be the better earthbender, as his strong, pure earthbending skills make up for not knowing metal bending. Fire was the last element Aang learned, and he used it the least. Despite this, he showed reasonable skill. Training with the Dragon Masters helped him understand fire better, and learning from Zuko gave him valuable techniques for his fight against Ozai.
More ferocious! Imagine striking through your opponent's heart!
One of the most important techniques Aang learned from Zuko was lightning redirection, a rare skill few firebenders possess.
If you let the energy in your own body flow, the lightning will follow it. You turn your opponent's energy against them.
That's like waterbending.
Exactly. My uncle invented this technique himself.
Zhong Zhong, a member of the White Lotus, also contributed to Aang's training.
Wait, what do I do now?
Silence! Talking is not concentrating. Look at your friend. Is she talking? Even that oaf knows to concentrate on what he's doing.
Hey!
Korra, on the other hand, used firebending consistently throughout the series. She often relied on it in battles. Korra learned firebending from White Lotus Masters and showed a natural talent for it even before formal training. The White Lotus Benders are highly skilled, so Korra learned a lot from them. She displayed great power and skill with fire, easily countering other fire blasts and using fire jets for mobility. In conclusion, while Aang learned from the original firebending masters and could redirect lightning, Korra showed greater raw power and skill, making her the superior firebender. Next is airbending. Without saying too much, I think it's clear who wins this category.
Never mind! I'll find you! Run!
Korra struggled with this element for a while because she wasn't very spiritual, but with more training, she became quite skilled at it. As the series went on, airbending became one of her most frequently used elements. She showed impressive power and skill, proving to be a much better airbender than many give her credit for. Air is Aang's native element, and he's on a different level when it comes to airbending. He became a master at just 12 years old, much younger than most airbenders. His raw power is among the highest in the series for any element, and he consistently showed great skill and versatility.
Guys, throw me some coal!
Aang used airbending in all his movements, which boosted his speed and agility. Toph even nicknamed him Twinkle Toes, highlighting his exceptional mastery of this element.
Follow me, Twinkle Toes.
Toph, I'm 40 years old. You think you can stop with the nicknames?
Afraid not.
I'm gonna have to give this one to Aang, and I think this is one all of us can agree on. Korra might be able to beat him in her dreams or with some luck, because I have to admit, she was good, but Aang was more creative and versatile. Korra used simple gusts of wind, which were effective, but not enough against an airbending master like Aang.
Sometimes I forget what a powerful bender that kid is.
Wait, what did you just say?
Nothing, just that Aang is one powerful bender.
There's still one more important factor, which is energy bending. This could be the game changer. We don't fully understand the limits of energy bending, but we know it can remove and restore bending, form shields, and even create Korrazilla.
Korra's back! And she's a blue giant!
There could be more abilities we haven't seen. Taking away bending seems to be the hardest technique. Here's what the lion turtle told Aang.
We bend not the elements, but the energy within ourselves.
Aang has been doing this since he was 12, and it got easier for him over time.
It's over.
Korra mainly gave bending back, but never took it away. Both Aang and Korra are determined. No arguments there. The different challenges they faced required strong willpower to succeed.
Go in peace.
Aang, however, had to embrace his role as the Avatar much earlier and for longer, which built his determination from a young age. Korra got better at the spiritual aspect as the series progressed, but Aang was always naturally gifted in this area. By the end of Book 4, Korra showed her impressive skills by blocking a powerful laser beam and protecting Kuvira. She was even able to withstand the explosion that followed, which opened another spirit portal and left everyone else stunned.
The spirits have returned.
So, when it comes to energy bending, I have to give credit to both avatars.
What did you do to me?
I took away your firebending. You can't use it to hurt or threaten anyone else ever again.
Next is their combat style. Aang mainly uses airbending, favoring a defensive style that redirects his opponent's attacks. But he can be overpowered by stronger foes, like we saw with Ozai. Korra, though a waterbender, fights more like a kickboxer. Her style is aggressive and direct, which can make her reckless at times.
Unnecessary roughness! Move back one zone!
I'll unnecessarily rough you up!
In a straight fight, either could win. Aang has dealt with aggressive fighters before, while Korra might struggle against Aang's passive approach.
Whoa, wild shot!
I'll show you wild!
Physically, Korra is stronger than Aang's noodle arms. Aang, who prefers peace over fighting, has never been a physical fighter. He fights only when necessary and avoids causing harm.
I'm not your enemy! I won't fight you!
If he decides to go all out, he'd be more dangerous, but that's not his nature.
We're trying to help! Then when you figure out a way for me to beat the Fire Lord without taking his life, I'd love to hear it!
Korra is driven to win, even using the Avatar state for a race. Her competitive spirit could give her an advantage.
The Avatar is the winner!
No fair!
She also has more techniques up her sleeve, including spirit bending she learned from Unalaq, and I'm pretty damn sure this wasn't a thing until Korra's time. Ultimately, it comes down to who is the better bender. Both Aang and Korra are exceptionally talented.
I wouldn't count us out just yet.
And finally is their battle strategy.
Are you crazy? You haven't thrown a single blow!
No, but you have. Zhang said you had no restraints.
I love Korra's battles, but her combat IQ sometimes falls short. She often leaves herself open, which is why she takes a lot of big hits. Luckily, Water Tribe avatars are durable. She can be a bit arrogant in fights, often taking on too much by herself and not working well with others.
Enough talk!
This is why she had a hard time with pro bending. She trained alone, and the White Lotus probably didn't teach her to fight as a team. Because of this, she lacks experience in teamwork and tends to underestimate her enemies and not appreciate her friends' help. This leads to her rushing ahead, getting captured, and getting separated from Asami, Bolin, and Mako.
Why?
You're only allowed to knock players off the back of the ring, not over the sides.
Korra also makes odd choices with her bending. She sometimes uses fire when another element would be better, like using fire against Desna and Eska while fighting in the ocean. She rarely uses earthbending defensively, even though it's one of the best ways to block attacks. Her waterbending is solid, but she often doesn't have water available in fights. Even by Book 4, it feels like she doesn't fully use all her bending abilities effectively. When it comes to strategy, Aang clearly has the upper hand.
I bet I can take you both with my hands tied behind my back.
His training makes him good at thinking ahead and outmaneuvering his enemies. He's great against aggressive fighters like Korra. Aang usually has a better plan going into a fight than her, and he works greatly with his team members.
We'll have to be fast, but careful.
How is that careful?
I was wrong. We need to be fast, careful, and lucky.
On the other hand, Korra is definitely stronger but also very stubborn. Aang is much smarter in battles. Korra's stubbornness and quick temper often lead to her downfall. Aang would use her impulsiveness against her effectively.
No self-control.
Stand and fight, Avatar!
Oh, were we fighting? I thought you were just getting warmed up.
I was!
Whenever Korra loses in the series, it's because she acts too quickly without thinking. Aang wins because he outsmarts his opponents.
You've lost this battle.
Are you crazy? You haven't thrown a single blow!
No, but you have.
Lastly, let's talk about the Avatar state. Aang is way ahead in this area. No contest.
You muzzled Appa?
When Aang activates the Avatar state, you know something serious is about to happen. It feels like he's going to completely dominate. But when Korra uses the Avatar state, we get the impression that, well, she's serious. She needs backup, not showing overwhelming power at all.
We have to help her.
In ATLA, Aang uses the Avatar state a few times, and only once does he do it on purpose. The Avatar state gives the user the combined skills and wisdom of all past avatars, making them nearly unbeatable.
The Avatar state is a defense mechanism designed to empower you with the skills and knowledge of all the past avatars. The glow is the combination of all your past lives.
Aang becomes almost untouchable in this state, using it only as a last resort. Already a master airbender, his Avatar state is incredibly powerful.
Aang, come on! Snap out of it!
In The Legend of Korra, we see Aang use the Avatar state to defeat Yakone, showing his strength and control. Korra, on the other hand, uses the Avatar state more frequently in battles. Even though she has access to the accumulated power of all past avatars, she lacks the creativity, technique, experience, and mastery that Aang had. He faced mainly two powerful firebenders, while Korra dealt with enemies who had surprising tactics, raw power, influence, and strategy.
You'll get your duel, and I will destroy you.
Despite her strength, Korra's lack of strategy and over-reliance on the Avatar state often puts her at a disadvantage compared to Aang.
Not now, Tenzin. I just want to be left alone.
But you called me here.
Aang.
In the end, it really comes down to whether the Avatar state is used. If Aang can use it, I think he'd win. Without it, Korra could easily overpower Aang. In a close fight, Korra has the strength to block any attack, while Aang is smart, strategic, and has the agility to dodge any hit. Aang's Avatar state still connects him to past avatars, but Korra is simply stronger and knows bending styles that previous avatars didn't.
Well done, Korra.
The Avatar is back in business!
That said, Aang and Korra are the same spirit in different eras, so really, Rava wins every time. If you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to comment. All I ask is that we keep the discussion respectful. Please subscribe if you haven't, and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay geeky.
Give it more juice.
But what if I can't control it?
You can do it. I know you can. You're a talented kid.